Guys, I want to give you a quick rundown on how to properly wash your motorcycle, especially when it's been dirty. This one's been sitting for years. It looks clean, but it's covered in a layer of dust and dirt, so you want to start off by rinsing it good. You don't want to put a wet rag on there and drag the sand across. You want to rinse it good, top to bottom. It has open air cleaners. You want to make sure you close those off with either tape over them or put a bag over them and tape that on. You don't want to get any water in your engine. So start at the top and work your way down. Clean your tire treads really good. If there's any oil on them, you want to make sure that the tires are clean. Good time to inspect the whole motorcycle while you're washing. There's no better way to tell what defects are on the bike when you touch every inch of it washing it. Once you've pre-rinsed it, now you want to use some chemicals on it to loosen up all the grit and grease. Let me show you what you should be using. Guys, my favorite motorcycle product for cleaning the entire bike is MOTUL Moto Wash. It's biodegradable, so it's not bad for the environment. It also is a strong degreaser, and it's designed not to harm paints and raw aluminum finishes, which is really important on an expensive motorcycle. It works great on dirt bikes or street bikes. What you do is you start at the top and just soak the whole bike. Just start at the top so that whatever dirt and debris is on it will leak down to the bottom or kind of run down to the bottom. You want to leave it on for 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes. It is a degreaser and a cleaner. So before I touch this motorcycle with a rag or a sponge, which is what I'm going to do next, I'm going to get the whole thing clean so I'm not dragging little pebbles of dirt that are probably equivalent of an 80 grit. A piece of sand is probably harder than 80 grit, and scratching the fine surfaces of this vintage Honda DF750. So you're going to do the whole bike. By the time you get around to this side here, you're probably a minute in, and then give it another minute. You see this bike was made in 1987. Hondas are notoriously good motorcycles to restore and refurbish. They seem to run forever. And there's nothing better than a quality cleaner to start your restoration. This bike will probably be done in about 2 weeks, completely restored, maybe 3. We'll spray it on the front of the engine. If you look here, you can see the rear tire is shooting road grime right up onto the front of the engine here. So before we have the mechanics work on this thing, they're going to be very grateful if it's nice and clean. Down here in the detail shop, we're going to get this thing shining like a diamond and cleaned up. And it's also a good, when you're going over every square inch of your motorcycle, you can discover issues that you might have. Like here's a little crack in the cowling right here we'll have to fix. If you notice any safety issues before you ride it, it's part of the maintenance of a motorcycle is keeping it clean. Probably one of the most important things is keeping it clean, keeping your air filter clean, and making sure you got fresh engine oil. That's a lifeblood of your motorcycle. We'll get into that in another video, but keep cleaning your bike is just one of the, if you want your bike to look good when it's 50 years old, and they can, your motorcycle can't outlive you, you want to keep it clean. Clean bike is a happy bike. So that's been about 2 minutes. We'll rinse it off now. And then we'll wash it by hand once we get the thick layer of grime off of it. See it soaping up, plugging up. Look how nice that frame came out. I'm going to use the MOTUL chain clean to get all that chain road grime off. Power washer, you can get a spray nozzle for your hose and it'll work just as good. It just takes longer. preliminary wash, and you can see the MOTUL Cycle Clean took all the grime off. The aluminum's nice and shiny. Now we can start the next stage, which will be a sponge and hand wash. Then we'll dry it off, and it'll go into the shop for a full mechanical and cosmetic restoration. Wash segment, if you don't have a good quality car wash like this Meguiar's, which is top shelf stuff, you can mix up 4 ounces of this MOTUL wash, the MOTUL Moto Wash in there, and it'll do pretty much the same thing. But old school had already mixed up that bucket, so we're gonna use that one. And you wanna start up at the top. The reason why I say to start at the top is the dirtiest part of the bike is on the bottom. So start up at the top and wash from the top down. And one of the cardinal sins of working on washing a motorcycle is using the filthy rag. You can see we're on the driveway right here. If you drop this rag on the ground, don't even think about reusing it. Not around here, because you'll pick up little pieces of dirt and then you'll scratch the surface and you'll be damaging the motorcycle, not cleaning it. So you want to go over every square inch of the bike. We pre-soaked it, let it sit for a couple minutes with just water, and then we put the MOTUL Moto Wash on there, let it sit for 2 minutes, and then we rinsed it. Now we're doing a hand wash. It's a 3-stage process. We've already done the chain and sprocket, so when this goes onto the bench, this whole motorcycle is going to get painted too. So they'll have a whole new paint and graphics kit. We'll paint the wheels. We're going to go through the whole thing and get it going. This is a really popular 750cc V4. It's got the Yoshimura exhaust on it, so when it's done in a couple of weeks, when you see this thing, you're going to be like, wow, it's going to look like a show bike. But this is the first step. We got to get it clean before we get it polished and running like brand new. Ronnie paused the video and I hand washed the whole bike. Now I'm going to rinse it off. I haven't done the wheels yet. I do that last because that's where you're going to get the most grime. These wheels need to be painted. You can see some of the paint. That's the original 35-year-old paint. If you get up close, there's a lot of nicks in it. We're going to paint the wheels too. Maybe put our signature gold chain on it. I don't know. Stay tuned. Again, the rinsing process. Start at the top and work your way down. You want to get all the soap off of it and all the chemicals off of any of the surfaces you're going to paint. Otherwise, you'll get, what do you call it, Ronnie? Fish eyes. This Yoshi pipe, we're going to polish aluminum on that. We'll show you how we do that too later. You got a lot of brake dust around the caliper here. That's where you want to spray the motor wash extra on the caliper around that area. If it's extra dirty, this one wasn't that bad. You could do two coats of the MOTUL chain clean, 2 coats or 2 times. Paint job looks pretty good, but if you look closely, or you don't have to look that closely, there was a dent here. We had a dent magician come yesterday and pop the dent out. We're going to smooth that off with a little bit of body filler and make that perfectly straight and then paint this motorcycle. You can see the paint's messed up down here too. For a track bike it'd be good, but we want this thing to be, it's going to be a show bike when we're done. You have to remember, especially after washing a motorcycle thoroughly, if any water got into the airbox of the engine, you want to start the motorcycle to lubricate the pistons in case you had an exhaust gasket that was leaking or some water got in there. You don't want to leave water in a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke or anything. You want to run it, and then even a little bit of water in there could cause some rust. So you want to run the bike and also make sure you didn't drown out any electrical components. So you want to start the bike and run it for a couple minutes after you wash it. If you have a blow dryer, you can blow dry it. If you don't, you can hand dry it. Some of the stubborn caked on grease, even with our high pressure power washer, is difficult to get off. So you always want to do a hand wash, but you do the hand wash after you use the chemicals, after you've soaked it, after you've rinsed it, and then your life will go a lot easier. If you have the right chemicals, you'll be more in the right products and the right tools. You'll be more likely to keep your bike real nice. It's a lot easier to do it, that's for sure, when you got the right tools and the right products. But you want to hand wash with a rag the entire rim, both front and rear. And I'm using the same rag that I used on the motorcycle because this rim's going to get repainted. I'm just cleaning it so it'll be easier for the techs that are going to clean and paint this rim. So after you hand wash it, you rinse it off. To recap, we use the MOTUL chain clean to clean the chain, and then we use the MOTUL chain lube to lube it so it won't rust and it will last a lot longer. It'll actually run quieter. And we use the MOTUL wash to degrease and clean the entire motorcycle, and also some Meguiar's car wash for the a motorcycle dryer like this. Get one, it makes the whole job a lot easier. If not, you can use a leaf blower, but this is a much higher CFM and it's a concentrated tip. So I'm going to dry it off with the so go over the whole motorcycle, dry it off, and the next step would be putting a coat of wax on it to protect the painted surface. We're not going to do that because this one's getting restored. So at this point, you've got a nice clean motorcycle. It was done right. You didn't scratch your finish. You didn't use the wrong chemicals and stain it. I've seen so many people screw up paint jobs and aluminum by using simple green and other products that aren't really designed for that application. And the best part is after you wash it, you really should take it for a little ride. As long as the weather's nice like today, get going 50, 60 miles an hour. That'll blow all the water off the hidden spots. Make sure everything is good. Coat your chain with some chain lube so it doesn't rust. This MOTUL Moto Wash actually has that it leaves on all of the metal surfaces that will keep it from flash rusting. That's why you dry it off. If you leave the water on it, you can get flash rust on any bare metal parts, and that makes the bike look worn. So hopefully that helped. If you have any tips or tricks I didn't mention, please use it put them in the comments. Stay tuned. We're going to restore this bike from the frame up. Thanks for watching. God bless America.